Yes, guys, welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. This is FPL Insight. I'm Gianni, and I'm joined by Football Insider, Mr. Dean Jones. Dean, how are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Yeah. Weird one today. I was a bit out the loop on the football front. Obviously, summer holidays. Every now and then you have to go on kids' days out. So we've been in London for the day, which is absolutely exhausting. It was good, like Lego and M&M World and all that kind of stuff. The norm. But yeah, it was good fun. I'm shattered, but this feels like I'm zoning out. Feels like me time at the moment to be just here with you chatting FPL and all the people that are already logging on. Like, hello, everybody.
I can't wait to get everyone's thoughts on this, guys. We are going to be involving you a lot, as always. And hello, Laura. Hello, Vindy, Nuclear, Focus, Hudson, CH. So many of you are with us. Eddie as well. We've got Dean's Wildcard coming up later, and I'm super
Yeah,
excited. So
this was
the
part of that day
Wildcard,
out.
it's fair to say that the Wildcard's still a work in progress, right, Dean? You've sent
It
your
is.
first draft in, but there is still a
It's
lot
not
up for
finished. We're
grabs.
not done. We are not done. And I want the help of this community, no doubt about it.
I love that. And you're definitely going to get it. There's some very good and well-established FPL managers in the chat. I'm going to give you 3 or 4 players I would put in if I was in your situation. CH says it's CJ Fridays with Gianni and Dean. We come together to look at their team. They're spinning the wheel of Pep Roulette, predicting the players. The rest we forget. Love that,
Look at
CH.
this. I mean, it has to be Jack Collins in disguise. Like, it has to be. I've never known anyone with poems like this. Hello, CH.
Love that. Yeah, Spartans and CH are up there with the best of them.
Yeah.
Simon, hello guys. Oh my, Wildcard 2, so excited. So look, coming up on today's show, we've obviously got Wildcard chat. We've got Fresh Off the Press. We've got Pep Roulette. We're going to be revealing my team as well as seeing Dean's Wildcard. And we've got Against the Obvious. And we're taking your questions. But first, we should probably start with a couple of the big topics of the day. I guess the big one for FPL is Isak has come in at 7 million. Callum Wilson's also injured, and we now know he's going to miss a fair few weeks. So Isak probably not going to start this weekend, but by next weekend he will. And at 7 million, that's pretty good value for someone with his pedigree, right? I know it's hard to say because we've not seen him in the league, but this Newcastle team, we just saw him score 3 goals against the best defence in Europe in Man City. So surely Isak's going to get a lot of chances.
Yeah, he's a good player. Look, I said from the start, like people jumping on Wilson, I'm like, yeah, go for it, but like just be warned that like he's not going to be a nice ride for him this season. They are definitely signing a top striker, and this is the guy they've gone for. Yeah, Alex Isak has landed now, and this isn't the guy that's going to settle for being second fiddle. And I don't think Newcastle are going to change to play 2 up front either. I think these two are competing for that shirt. Yes, occasionally I think Isak will go wide. I can see that happening at times, but ultimately, this is an exciting signing for Newcastle and for us. At some point this season, I reckon we'll all have him. He is a good player to have. He can be a bit flaky, I'm not going to lie, but it's part of the process, and it's part of growing as a top level striker. And he is right up there. It's a very, very good transfer for Newcastle.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him in the Premier League. And what I can tell you about Isak, guys, if you haven't seen much of him, is he's a little bit like a Jamie Vardy, but a lot younger and a lot taller. So he's super, super quick, can run in behind, and he goes on like good goal scoring runs, similar to Vardy. But yeah, at 7.0, I'm quite excited to see him in that Newcastle team. And Newcastle are a team in terms of FPL coverage we probably need to start taking a little bit more seriously. Like, of course, Trippier's in a lot of drafts, but outside of that, there are still plenty of options. And Dean called the fact they were going to buy a 9. We did our source meter on Isak to Newcastle about a month ago. And when this news broke that he was joining a couple of days ago, I saw so many people saying this has come completely out of the blue, didn't know about it. I'm like, dude, Dean's been talking about this for a month.
Why weren't you watching our show?
Yeah, exactly. Oxlane says, thinks Isak will be signing of the season. Also, Harlan Lewis says, would you guys recommend Perisic over Cucurella? So let's talk a little bit about fullbacks. Perisic Cucurella is a big debate because we know with Cucurella, we're probably going to get 8-9 starts out of 10 because he can play in multiple positions. With Perisic, we're probably going to get 6-7 out of 10 max, I'd have thought, especially with the fixture congestion.
Yeah.
But the ceiling's so high for Perisic. So for me, I'm team Perisic because it's risk reward. You take the rough with the smooth. Yeah, there'll be a few 1-pointers, but there'll also be some 12-pointers.
That's the thing. Like, from what we've seen already of Perisic, he's so influential when he plays that I think it's worth the gamble of him occasionally not starting. Just make sure you've got your first choice sub. I guess it's a decent one to come in, because there's definitely times you're going to pick him. Might even be this week, for example, when you pick him and he's not there, and it will be frustrating at times. He'll pay you back. He will definitely pay you back over the course of the season. I think you have to be loyal to him. I say, we see my wild card earlier. I didn't have Perisic. It was one of the things that's been niggling away at me, not having Perisic and not figuring out really how I would get him into my team. So we'll talk about that again in a bit. But for me, yeah, you go Perisic over Cucurella.
Good stuff. One last question before we get on to Pep Roulette. Liverpool in the transfer market. Two things that we thought we might be getting some big name links because of the midfield injuries. Again, the wide forward slots. Is there going to be any last minute business for Liverpool, Dean? And if so, will it be a big name?
I was talking about De Jong there too. Like, there's been a few whispers about De Jong, and it would be funny if after all this time he ended up signing for Liverpool. I mean, the latest news on De Jong is he still doesn't want to leave Barcelona. He's actually willing to look at the terms of his contract and take a drop and stay. So I think the move to Liverpool looks unlikely at this point. They would sign somebody in midfield if the right name came along. At the moment, it hasn't done so. They're not going to panic buy, I'm told. But if a good option was put on the table, never say never. So I think it's unlikely. The one thing to bear in mind too with Liverpool is they are very good at keeping their cards close to their chest. They're one of the few clubs whereby, I'd say 80% of the time, there's no rumor, and then suddenly they're signing someone. Like, all the Liverpool slot are suddenly like giving it the information. It's like, okay, go with it. Here we go. And the deal's already sealed, and a day later they're standing there holding the
Luis
shirt.
Diaz, Darwin Núñez. We didn't really know, did we?
It happens a lot. So that's I guess it's quite an exciting thing for Liverpool fans. They know there's not usually much build up to a signing. It could come at any moment.
Yeah, exciting times. We look forward to the last sort of 48 hours of the transfer window. And look, we'll be bringing you 2 streams next week where I think wildcard chat, but also we'll have lots of transfer rumor chat as well on those 2 shows. But look, today we're speaking about the weekend that's about to hit us with game week 4. There's lots of juicy fixtures. We saw a lot of the big teams drop points last week. Well, this week might be a little bit different. So let's have a look at how we see some of those starting 11s lining up with Pep Roulette.
So I just distracted. Eddie's just asking me if Memphis Depay is going back to Man United. No, he's not. Not at the moment, anyway. I mean, they really have panicked if it ends up being Memphis Depay coming in at the end of this window. You know that panic button has been pressed, because that was not one of the names on their list over the past couple of months. Right, let's go through the likely lineups for this weekend. Now, again, I'm going to put an asterisk by this week, because I did send these in last night because I was so busy today. So anyone, feel free to butt in. Give us your comments on anything you see here that I've missed from today's press conferences, because I genuinely haven't actually seen them.
There's been very little news in press conferences today, mate. Don't worry, I'll be sure to pick you up on any errors. But I think
okay. Well, the Arsenal team writes itself. That's the good news. Like, Arsenal take care of themselves these days, and that's good news for us. Look, this is pretty unbelievable what Arsenal are doing at the moment. They named the same starting 11 for their first 3 games of the season. Okay. It's the first time they've done that since 2003, 2004, at the start of a season. It's also the first time they've won the opening 3 games in a row for 8 years. So the chances of Arsenal changing this team right now are very slim. Yeah. The thing we've got to consider for Arsenal too is that this is the successful team, right? This is it. Yeah. When these start getting rotated, when you get an injury or suspension, that's when problems might come. Because this team works perfectly. There's 1 or 2 that can slot in. The depth of it, we don't know yet. So we'll have to wait and see. But so far, Arsenal have beaten what's in front of them. Oxlade says, Arsenal unchanged. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. FPL Focus, Arsenal team is fine, mate. Let's go. And that's it, isn't it? And that's the point I really wanted to make with the Arsenal one. Not only is it so well established and so easy to predict at the moment, but everybody knows their jobs so well. They're in such a great rhythm. It takes care of itself. I say the one guy that might need to step up a bit is Saka. He's the only one of those forwards yet to get a goal or assist. And we know it's an area they're looking to strengthen.
Yeah. With all these teams, guys, we do the top teams with Pep Roulette, and we know they're all about to hit fixture congestion. Now, between literally next week and the start of the World Cup in November, all teams in Europe are going to be playing twice a week. They've all got midweeks, whether it's domestic cup or Premier League or the UEFA Conference, Europa or Champions League. They've all got 2 games a week for literally the next couple of months. Now, for your top 4 teams from last season, Champions League teams, they're going to want to go full strength in the Champions League. And we're going to see rotations sometimes in the Champs, sometimes in the Prem. Teams like Arsenal, you think for the group stages, they're going to be able to play the likes of Smith Rowe, the likes of Tomiyasu, the likes of El Neni, right? So the Arsenal Premier League 11, which is all that matters for FPL, I think could stay the same for a fair long time. And I think Man City probably slightly different as they move into Europe. So you've gone Bernardo in the right forward role like last week with this one, Dean.
I have, yeah, because he's so good there.
Yeah,
he's so good. Like the way that he, no matter what kind of pass you feed him, his touch is immaculate, and he's immediately on the front foot and looking to make something happen. I think that it'd be very unlikely he's not playing. I mean, the only thing I can imagine is possibly if he's not up front, then he's in midfield. Like the only alteration
and then
I see.
Gundo drops out, but Gundo's been playing well, hasn't he? And he's captain
and that's
now.
it. That was my dilemma, really. Rudy says his biggest dilemma, KDB or Haaland. I think that the dilemma for Pep would be, well, I can't leave Gundogan out at the moment, so I can't really rotate that front line. And I don't think there's really any need to. I guess like the only thing you could say is Crystal Palace. Like on paper, you could say it's an easier game. Is it though? Like Crystal Palace are a very, very stubborn team. They are tough to beat, and they've got a lot of pace in the attack. So I think City will go as strong as they possibly can. They've opened up this lead over Liverpool. They will not want to let that slip. Like they're in a really good position to just keep firing up the points at the moment. So yeah, KDB or Haaland?
It's a great question.
That is a great question. And I think actually the answer is KDB. I haven't got him at the moment, but I think the answer is KDB.
For the fixture congestion we're about to hit, KDB is going to start every game and he's going to get 80 to 90 in most games. Haaland's going to start 2 and 3. And when he starts, he's going to get 60 to 70. So just for minutes, it's got 20, 30, 40% extra minutes potentially. KDB, it has to be for me. Thoughts on KDB and Gundo on a wildcard I really like. Now, guys in the chat, help us out here. If you're going for a Man City mid-priced asset in midfield, do you go Bernardo Silva, Foden, Mahrez, Grealish, or Gundogan? There's 5 options there. Probably only really 2 options in terms of standouts. It's Gundogan versus Foden. Where'd you go? Let us know in the chat. Give us one name. Craig's hit us up with Foden. He thinks he's worth the extra 0.5. I'm about to transfer in Gundogan, which is why I'm asking. I want to know your take on this. Yeah. Dean, your wildcard we'll get to later, but you're ignoring that sort of midfield bracket for Man City, are you?
Well, I have so far, but we'll see on the wildcard. It's one of the things that I was weighing up. Haaland's FOMO, isn't it? I mean, that's the big issue. But sometimes you have to separate like the noise and the hype from what you're actually seeing with your eyes. If you didn't know anything about Haaland beyond what we'd watched so far this season, I don't think there's a chance you'd be picking him.
Yeah.
I really don't. I don't think you'd have any more reason to pick Haaland than you would Callum Wilson, like based on what we've seen in the first few games of the season. And that's no disrespect to Callum Wilson. Like he's doing fine, but like Haaland's been fine. He's not setting the world on fire. So you'd be like, well, KDB, he's the one. He's the one you've got to have.
And on Wednesday, he's about to play Nottingham Forest, and we don't know if he's going to start. Yet KDB, you can absolutely happily captain against Nottingham Forest at the Etihad. Yeah. Will you be captaining Haaland knowing he could come off the bench for 20 minutes?
No, absolutely not. Very difficult one. City failed to score in both Palace games last season. Palace took 4 points off him. Yeah.
Zaha's apparently out, though. Hasn't travelled, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Athletic ran something about 20 minutes ago. So without Zaha, they're a different threat, aren't they?
They're a very different threat. I mean, he's been in such good form. This is the other thing about Zaha, isn't it? Like he tried to get that consistency and something interrupts him. It's always something with him.
It's not a transfer window, is it, Dean? Knowing we've just seen Maddison out as well. Maddison's apparently out this weekend. I'm like, Maddison and Zaha, 2 players always linked with moves. But
I checked on Zaha to ask. Yeah, he's been loosely linked to Chelsea and Arsenal. I checked the Arsenal one out and they were like, at the moment, absolutely not. Like that is not the path we're going down. And Chelsea, it would take about 2 or 3 other things to completely fall through for them to get to Zaha on the list. So I don't think so. I don't think it's a transfer thing. FPL Focus says he's on Gundogan.
Yeah, Captain Gundogan, actually captain for the club, makes you think he's going to start a little bit more regularly
Yeah,
than
true.
last season.
Yeah.
Oh, good
Gundogan and
question from
Kane
Billion
or
Koala.
KDB and Tony.
That's a tough one. The two players I own out of those four are Gundogan and Tony. It's going to be when I transfer in Gundo tonight. But I think I prefer KDB Tony just.
Yeah, the thing. I mean, Harry Kane's he got Forest, didn't he?
And Forest was so open against, well, in the last couple of games, Everton had a high Everton never get an XG of like 1.6, 1.7. They did against Forest. West Ham should have scored 2 or 3 against Forest on the City ground.
I think Forest are going to do. I have potential to do quite well this season. I do think they will also get a couple of paste-ins here and there. And the way Tottenham have been playing, this could be one of them. This could be one of them. It's a reason that I think Perisic is almost a must get. If he's fit, like I think you're going to regret not having him at the moment. And Kane, we don't know when there's going to be the time to have him. If you've got him, don't sell him. As we'll see on my wild card, I'm very tempted to go for him. All right,
I'm going to put you on the spot here with Martial, because since you've been away in London today with the kids, Martial's been ruled out. So who plays number 9?
Ronaldo.
Yeah, he's going to come in.
I know there's talk of him going to Napoli at the moment, but you got to do it. Like you can't do the Eriksen thing again. I mean, Martial injured is absolute. That's ridiculous. I haven't seen that, as you say.
He's always injured.
As I say,
this could be Elanga, couldn't it? Elanga and Rashford down the middle.
But... I mean, I guess he could do Elanga on the wide and Rashford through the middle. Yeah, he could do that. Just for anyone watching, like I put these teams together last night, so it was before this Martial news came out. Man United are a different proposition without Martial, to be honest. Like Martial is way more important to United than I actually ever thought he could be. Not ever, actually. In the first couple of years, you thought there would be signs, but in the last 2 years, did not think we were going to have Martial back. So yeah, so sub him out and get Elanga or Ronaldo in. I guess it depends on this Ronaldo transfer that he's trying to push. Depends what his attitude is. I mean, what more suits United, there's no doubt about it, is Elanga wide and Rashford up front.
Yeah.
Because of the way that Ten Hag wants to play. But it depends if he's willing to rock the boat with Ronaldo at this point. He probably can afford to because Ronaldo's so desperate to leave. I personally think that he should leave Ronaldo out of that game. I don't think he should bring him back in. United functions so much better without him. But it is Southampton. It is Ronaldo. It's hard to leave him out for a game like that if you've got him sat there.
It is. The only thing that might save the Rashford down the middle idea with Elanga is the fact the transfer window's still open, and until it's shut, maybe Ronaldo will be left out until we know he's hanging around.
Yeah.
Although the truth is going to come out in the next week, isn't it? He said.
Yeah. Weird thing to say. Casemiro, obviously available potentially for his debut. Haven't put him in. Obviously, if he does go in, it's for McTominay. I was led to believe, I had a chat with someone a couple of days ago who covers United, and he was under the belief that Casemiro was going to be used as sub for this first game and then would probably start the next one. So that was kind of a loose briefing that he'd been given by people at the club at that point. And McTominay is fine. Like in the way that this is functioning, like he's not alongside Fred. I think that helps. But if Casemiro's ready, I'd get him in. Like if I'd just get him in. You've waited so long for this sort of player. If Casemiro's ready, put him in. So I kind of hope that this lineup's wrong, to be honest.
Yeah. Rachel says about Rashford in the 9. Thoughts on Sancho. One thing I'd say about FPL with United attack, United players, full stop, guys, is we saw them do it in a very unique atmosphere on Monday night at Old Trafford with the protests, with the Liverpool fixture. We know what that means. Let's see them beat the poor teams before we move towards them on FPL. We need to see them against Southampton. We need to see them in the next couple of fixtures. Don't go bringing in Rashford or Sam. And by the way, Rashford, guys, as soon as they buy Anthony, Rashford's the first of those front 3 players to be benched. So again, just hold on United assets. I know it's difficult because the prices can be good, are very good. And there's obviously a huge amount of United fans that play this game. There is a United tax on transfers in. It's always higher than any other team because there's so many United fans out there. But just hold.
Yeah, 100% agree. And like, obviously, they were very good against Liverpool and they functioned very well. I don't know. I've got to see it more than once. Before I'm convinced. I mean, that is definitely the style of play that they want. But, you know, they didn't have the ball a lot. They were playing against Liverpool, which kind of suited what they wanted to do in that game. They pulled it off perfectly. They had like almost no pressure on them because everyone expected them to lose 4-0. So Ten Hag making the changes and putting out the side that he did, it was impressive. PSV 96, apparently the 90 million bid for Anthony was rejected. Yeah, it was. Let's see now if they go back for him. Ajax won 100 million euros. United have got to somehow get there. Absolutely ludicrous that in the last few days of the transfer window, this is where we're at. Man United again. Are we going to get to the same point we're at with Jadon Sancho, where they're like, oh, we'll just get him in a year instead? Like, they've wanted this player for so long. Ajax know it. They're holding them to ransom. Fair play to them. Ajax want this transfer to happen. Of course they do. Yep. They're going to get a shed load of money. Anthony wants it to happen. Ten Hag wants it. United want it. The fans want it. Still think it probably will happen. Because if it doesn't, it's a disaster. It is actually a disaster because whoever else they end up with, even if it's Gakpo, it's not their top pick. It's not the guy they wanted. And Gakpo isn't like signing Casemiro in midfield. It's all right missing out on your main DM and ending up with Casemiro. Like that's absolutely sound. Gakpo is a good player, but it's not like you're signing an EPL guaranteed guy with output, is it? He's just not there.
So Roy, may as well have gone and got Isak.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys, love that. As always on Fridays, guys, bit of pep roulette chat. We're going to move on. But before we do, just want to give a shout out. Guys in the chat, I bet you aren't aware that we've got an international footballer in the midst tonight. Now, this is a captain of Scotland. This is the captain of Aston Villa women's teams. Rachel Corsey's with us, ladies and gents. Absolutely love that. And look, she's a keen FPL player. So Rachel, thank you for supporting the channel tonight. FPL Insight, Chasing Green Arrows. Give us a like, give us a subscribe if you would like to hear more from Rachel throughout the show. Maybe we can get her to ask some questions about her team dilemmas she's got for FPL. So yeah, let's move on to the thing that I think a lot of people are tuning in for, Dean. We teased your wild card at the start of the show.
Help me.
Loads of love Rachel's getting in the chat. FPL Focus and Craig and Haley, FPL River, CH. Get Rachel on next week's stream, says Craig. Good stuff. So yeah, let's move on to the team reveal so we can have a little sneaky look at that wild card and maybe try and get you to, let us know which ones are permanent holds, but which ones we can maybe suggest that you move on for suggestions from the chat. So let's have a look at our team reveals. Here we go.
Okay, so yeah, I've done it. Out today with the kids. Anyone who's got kids know that it can be mind-numbing at times and drive you a bit mad. In one of those moments where I was going, well, I just needed a bit of me time, I activated the wildcard button. And this was mainly led by the fact that I was kept staring at Saka in my team, and I was like, surely he's going to deliver this week. I don't actually want him to deliver this week. He's playing against Fulham. They're my team. I don't want to be backing him this week to score against my team. So I didn't like that. I didn't like the fact I didn't have Perisic. And I keep looking at Harry Kane, and I'm convinced that over the course of the next 3 games, he's going to have a lot of fun and score a lot of goals. But I also have FOMO over Haaland. I have FOMO over Salah. So this is where I've landed. This is my first draft of a wild card. You can rate it or slate it, people. Like, do whatever you want to this team. I don't mind. I'm very open-minded. Like, I've still got, a good 15 hours or something until I have to finalize this team. Got to be something like that. I hate the goalkeepers. Hate both of them. But I'm a bit stuck with them because they're so cheap. And I don't know where I make up the money. You've got
0.3 in the bank, haven't you?
I've got 0.3 in the bank, but there's no 4.3 million goalkeepers. So I've got to drop 0.2 from somewhere, basically.
If you can get the Silva down to a 4.4 mid as the third bench option, then it's just fodder. You're never going to touch that third bench.
True. Okay, that's the first option that I like. Okay, De Silva, I'm not attached to him. He's just come in today just as a filler anyway, but he plays. Your kids scrambled your brain. They do it most days. Trust me. They're 2 and 4, both boys.
So you got a 4.5 keeper and instead of Ward. Okay, so guys in the chat, help us out here. Is it Guaita, Meslier, Raya, or Sanchez?
Yep.
Who would you go for out of those four? I mean, it's a tough one because I'm going to be buying a 4.5 keeper next week, Dean. And I say next week, Monday night, right? There's games on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at one of those 4.5s. And Sanchez is getting the most amount of love in the community. Luke says Sanchez. I think I might go Guaita or Raya, probably Guaita. Now, I know he's got Man City this week, but I like that Palace defence.
Everyone's going Sanchez. Everyone.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of love.
What is it about him?
I don't know. Brighton have kept a couple of clean sheets already. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But he doesn't get many save points, Sanchez, and he doesn't do that well in the bonus either.
They are a solid team, though, aren't they? They are they know what they're doing. Like looks like they're gonna have a good season. I can't really argue with it. So as we're going along, I'm gonna start putting these players in and just see where I land by the end of the night. So De Silva's coming out. I've got to find a replacement for him. So I mean, there's not a lot out there.
So who's safe? Let's see who's safe then. Let's go for that back line. I think Cancelo, Zinchenko, Perisic you're pretty set on. Would you consider, if you needed the money, Trippier down to, say, a 4.5 option if you needed the money? Or is there other 5.0s out there? Guys in the chat, let us know. Like, would you prefer
I do like
him,
but yeah.
But the goal threat of Trippier for set pieces is so good, isn't it?
Yeah, it does worry me losing Trippier because I've been on him since day one and I've backed him a lot. So to take him out and see him get points would hurt me, like really hurt me. Whoever is it in Babu? And Babu is Fulham's new right back. He's only been eased in at the moment, but he came on in the last game against Brentford and he set up the goal for Mitrovic with a cross to the far post. And that is a combination that could be good. So why would you not do Mbabu to a 4? I might. I mean, I've just stuck him in for now, to be honest.
And Emerson is a 4.0 who hasn't played for West Ham yet, but we got to think Emerson will become a star.
He's a 4.0, is he?
Yeah, somehow he's 4.0. This guy won the Euros with Italy. He played against Spain in that game in the semi-final. Emerson, who is an elite left back, is 4.0.
Wow. Yeah. So obviously there is Nico Williams. He's not in my team at the moment. He's annoyed me a bit, to be honest. Like I don't know where I'm at with Nico Williams. Loved him as a player for Fulham last season. At FPL, I've started to have a bit of dilemma. I'm a bit torn over him. I mean, Mbabu probably isn't staying in this team. I'll be honest. I've just picked him because I saw him do a great thing the other day.
You wanted a bit of Fulham in there as well. I get that.
I do, but I also said at the start of the season I didn't want any Fulham, and now I've got 2 players in my team. So
guys in the chat, if you think Dean should sell Mbabu to Emerson, then show us by hitting the like button.
Yeah, do that right now. And to be fair, that would actually help me because it would open up a better midfielder that I'm going to get, obviously, by...
Oh, you go Solly March up to Aronson or something.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Solly March actually is having a good season for Brighton so far, and he's getting to some really good positions. Now, I do think he's got a threat, but obviously he's not going to change my season, is he? So, and I've had Aronson up to now. I'd love to get back to him. He's just gone at the moment because I wanted Perisic, Zinchenko and Kane, basically. So he's just ended up in my team. Picking midfield may sound quite jolly, but I certainly don't trust any points to come from Solly. Okay, cheers for the pie. Another one from Spartans. Cheers, mate.
Let's move on to the other mids that are locked. Salah's locked, Martinelli's locked, probably Andreas is. So do you go March to Andreas, or De Silva could go down to make money? But the exciting bit is the front line. I think you're set, and part of the reason why you wildcarded was to be able to accommodate Kane and Haaland, right?
Exactly, yeah. And I don't think this is like a play for the entire season or anything, but like at the moment, I don't know who I should be on. And I'm like looking at Kane's fixtures, and I think this weekend he could easily get a trick. I really do. And I don't want to have thought about that all week and not have gone for it. And that's basically why I've wildcarded. I think this first wild card, I think we talked about it off air rather than on there. You can gamble on it a bit more this season because we got the extra one. I think you can just do it. And the problem I've got is that my team has underperformed by about 10 points for the first 3 weeks. And it's mainly because Saka's done nothing. And I was backing him and backing him and backing him. I started to become too loyal. And that's why I'm like, no, stop. Like, take a step back and look at where you're at here. So my change was going to be Saka to Luis Diaz. This is my team as it was before the wild card. Had Saka and Luis Diaz.
Everyone's going to tell us that this is a good team.
Everyone will tell me that's a good team, for sure. I know. And it is a decent team. But I couldn't move it around to get to where I wanted to be.
To get Kane in, and
to get Kane in, to get Saka out. As I said, like he's doing my head in. Your something's better than your wildcard.
I'm saying nothing. I'm saying nothing, Craig.
Well, it probably is, but like, it's not gonna be for very long. Like that's my fear.
It comes down to you've got an extra captaincy option in Kane as well. I get it. Like I went 3 million pre-season for the same reason. I don't think it was a bad call. Like having Kane, Haaland, and Salah gives you the best captaincy option each and every week. And there are fixtures coming up for Spurs when Salah and Haaland don't have gimmies, and you want to give the armband to a Spurs player, and the only armband player you trust there is Harry Kane. You're going to be able to do that. I think it's in game week 4, 5, 6. They play Fulham at home. Well, Haaland goes to Aston Villa away, and Salah plays in the Merseyside derby at Goodison. You absolutely want to captain Kane against Fulham in that fixture.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll be honest, like I'm just like, I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to go for it and get Kane. Who's going to be the top 4 goal scorers in this league at the end of the season? Salah, Haaland, Jesus, and Kane should be the top 4 goal scorers in this league. So why would I not pick them?
Yeah,
why would I not pick them?
How about, would you consider, you said about not going for between Brentford players and Tony, because as a Fulham fan, would you consider Haaland to Tony and somehow getting Solly March up to KDB? And you could do that if you downgraded and Babu and Trippier.
Oh, I do like that. That is more tempting for sure.
Because Tony's just looks so good. He's averaged over 8 points a game so far. He's got an 8 or like 2 9s and an 8 or something. Like he's ridiculously good at the moment. Yeah. Got good fixtures as well. But obviously KDB is more expensive than Haaland. Tony is a lot more expensive than March. That might not be possible, but yeah, there's options. I think you change your goalkeeper, you change Babu.
Well, this is the thing as well.
Nice team.
I think that's the point. Like since activating the wildcard, going back to the goalkeepers, like they cannot stay as my goalkeepers. These 2 clowns, they cannot stay as my goalkeepers. I thought it was great that I had 2 options as 4 million goalkeepers. It's not great. This is not great, is it? They've even got 3. They've got a third now. He's not very good either. Yeah, I still don't know. They have to buy a 4th goalkeeper before next week.
Everson did keep a clean sheet in the week against Stockport, 0-0 in the cup, and he saved 3 penalties. And I'm thinking, is Everson going to get the nod this weekend? And they might drop Ward.
3 pens.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So if you do wildcard, you might want to
keep how have you wildcarded and kept Ward and Everson? Like this is not my team for this week, people. This was my first play with a wildcard and trying to get Harry Kane in and seeing if I could keep all the big players in there. And it's probably not going to be the case. Like this is something that I'm going to be playing with for the next 12 hours or so. Do you know what tonight is? Tonight is the end of season curry.
Oh, is it?
Yes, we've only just got round. So tonight, for those that were watching last season, for those that don't know, in my mini league, the bottom 4 teams in our mini league with my mates pay for the rest of the league to go for a night out, curry, drinks, and they pay for the food and the drinks. I think we have a limit of £200 a person. It's an expensive night out if you're stuck in that top 4. I avoided it just about. So I've got a night out tonight with all the rest of the lads, and they're actually already there now. They've met at the pub at 7. And they were like, I said, I can't get there till about 8:15, lads. They said, why? I said, I do this FPL show. They're like, how could you be giving tips out on FPL based on your season? I was like, I'm not paying for the curry. We'll talk about it later. Like, just watch me. But yeah, I needed to be here. I wasn't missing this episode because I need the insight of the community. There's no doubt about it.
I love the dedication, mate. I love the dedication. You've had a full day out with the kids. You're on the stream and then you're still going for a night out.
And then after that, I still have to fix my team. I still have to stay out after the night out to sort this team out.
Yeah, don't drink an FPL is always my top tip for transfers.
I'll probably be watching this stream back in bed at about 1 o'clock in the morning.
Let's move on to my team. Okay, so this is the team before a transfer. I've still not made my transfer. I've got 3.1 in the bank. My options are Nico Williams out for Reece James or Gundogan in for Bailey. The reason I'm not shopping in the Foden bracket, 8 million, is regrettably, because I would prefer Foden to Gundo. You guys know me as an FPL manager. Foden's someone I always like to own in FPL. I rate him very highly in FPL. I need 0.5 in the bank to upgrade my keeper next week. And if I buy Foden, you'll notice 5 million for Bailey, who I'll be selling at 4.9, doesn't leave me anything in the bank. if I buy Gundogan, I have exactly 0.5 in the bank. Now, Bailey is going to drop again tonight to 4.8. So I've got to make the move tonight. And then I can upgrade Ward to any 4.5 I want next week. So I think that's the move I'm going to make. The other option, as I mentioned, is Nico Williams out for Reece James in. So it comes down to who do I want in my 11 each week? Is it Reece James or Gundogan? Now, long term, it's Reece James. But for the next couple of fixtures, for Palace at home without Zaha, for Forest at home, I think I want Gundogan for that potentially higher ceiling. Let me know in the chat. Give me one name, Gundogan or James. Let's see. I think it'll probably be pretty split. What do you think, Dean?
Well, at the moment, I think you can go Gundogan for sure. It was a hard on my wildcard. I had Reece James, and I've wanted Reece James all the time. He's not actually in my team now, and I'm like, is that okay? It might be at the moment, Like at the moment, the way that Chelsea are, it might be okay because they're playing these two formations, and Reece James isn't getting the kind of freedom he's going to usually have. I think you could probably afford to go Gundo. Yeah, and it seems to be most people in the community are agreeing with you. I noticed in the middle of all that, Rachel dropped her team in there, by the way. So if anyone wants to have a look at that, Rachel has dropped her team into the comments. So make sure you'll check that out. But yeah, most people are backing you on Gundogan. A few are saying James. Luke says James longer term, and that's probably fair. But like, this doesn't have to be a long term pick for you, does it?
No, exactly that. And I think if I have Gundogan, someone in that price bracket, 7.6, then yeah, I've got it. I've got that position. I can easily move around to another player in a similar band. And I think at Reece James, I'm just investing a little bit too much money in my back line. Like I think I want to keep that 4.0 Nico Williams slot available because I like having that 4.0 option. It gives you more money in your 11 if you can have 4.0 guys on the bench.
Yeah.
So there we go. Captain, we're both on Salah this week. I don't think there's a huge amount to discuss. I mean, look, Jesus is obviously going to be a very popular asset. I don't mind it. But for me, I'll be going Salah. This is replayed. It's not live. I don't get it. We are live. Definitely live.
We're definitely live.
How can I prove we're live? I probably can't.
I'm not down the pub yet. That's how we know.
Yeah. So yeah, there we go. Let's we'll get to your questions shortly, guys, and we're also going to touch on in the questions Rachel's team. I mentioned here we go. Let's get to Rachel's team now because Rachel has, like you, backed Solly March.
It's a bit of a different team. I like this. This is very different from what we see from most people. So I'm liking this already.
Yeah, got the two 8.0 mids at Foden and Diaz. I like that. Sancho as well. So a lot covered in that mid-price midfield bracket. And then Jesus Tony up front is strong. Notice there's no Man City premium there other than Cancelo and Foden. There's no KDB or Haaland, which makes the team a little bit different, but saves her loads of money. And obviously no Salah. But Son, would you make the Son to Salah switch now, Dean? Because I would. Son's been off the boil.
I would, and so has Salah, but he's still got 2 goals so far. And Salah's not Salah hasn't done anything in the first 3 games, but he's still got 2 goals. Yeah. That's the thing we've got to be aware of. Salah, by the way, playing. I'm going to get this up on my phone because I made a note of this stat. Salah's record against Bournemouth is very good. So he has played against Bournemouth 6 times. They've won all 6 of them. And he scored 8 goals.
Oh.
So yeah, Bournemouth. They're not good. I mean, Salah, his conversion rate so far this season is 29%, and I think that's probably an idea. I mean, he stuck a fair few like off target when you really wouldn't expect him to, and that won't continue. So yeah, it's very, very brave person that doesn't take Salah at the moment, even though he's not in form.
Rachel loves the differential. She started the season with Sterling. She's gone to Sancho now, which is why she asked about Sancho later. But she's doing this to accumulate the funds to be able to go Salah, which is fair. Okay. Rachel, guys, we are in the presence of a professional footballer here. She's not only a pro, she's captain of Scotland and captain of Aston Villa. That's pretty cool. So we'll hopefully hear more from Rachel in the next couple of weeks. And glad to know you're a big FPL fan and supporter of the show, Rachel.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Definitely.
Yeah, good stuff. Guys, thank you so much for your interaction in the chat. Hopefully you're enjoying the show. And if you are, do give us the thumbs up, hit that like button. And look, obviously, if you're new around here, subscribe. We do these shows every Monday and Friday at 7 p.m. Fridays are obviously looking ahead. Monday, we focus a little bit more on transfers and the week ahead and a bit more about strategy like bonus points pods and wildcard pods. So loads of good stuff in the pipeline here at Chasing Green Arrows. So do subscribe and set those notifications for Mondays and Fridays at 7. It's the fun part of the show, Dean. We're going to do a feature that most know and love, but for those that don't, it's a little bit of fun. We give you 60 seconds worth of reasons why not to pick a popular asset. So here is Against the Obvious.
Okay, it's my one. I've got Erling Haaland, even though he's in my wildcard at the moment. Look, I think he should come with a triangle by his name this week, because we've been warned that he might not play in fixtures like this. And what I mean by that is he played against Bournemouth, kind of. He didn't actually play. He touched the ball 8 times. So he was on the pitch against Bournemouth, but yeah, the rest of him wasn't really there, didn't get into the game. And we're starting to find out now how his Premier League career will unfold. Which type of games will he do best in? It might be that Palace can restrict him, just like Bournemouth did, but the other players will flourish. There'll be a lot of attention on stopping him, no doubt. That doesn't mean you obviously stop Man City. And as I've mentioned before, I think there will be games, particularly away from home, when the other team have to go out and get something from the game. You see, particularly that West Ham game, they forced to go and get something. Those gaps open up behind. KDB can play in behind. Haaland will score all day long if he's got the space to run into. I'm not sure Crystal Palace is one of those games. You don't need him.
Oh, nice. I mean, they did a job on Liverpool Palace. They were really good at the back. They even managed to get Darwin sent off. Oh, Anderson did the same to Haaland.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I've got to convince myself to do this transfer, let alone everybody else. I mean, let me know what you think, people. Can we afford to ignore Haaland against Crystal Palace or not? Needs to know.
Expected minutes is so important, and KDB will definitely get far more minutes than Haaland over the next few weeks. But yeah, don't hate it. Don't hate it for those on a wild card. Let's see who I've gone for. I've been a bit more cowardly this week. I've not gone for a massive name. I've gone for Rashford. And the reason I said Rashford, because it is a bit of a cop-out. We're meant to pick the game's most popular assets and tell you why not to pick them. But I'm going to give you reasons why not to pick Rashford, because I know loads are going towards United assets. And Rachel's just said she's going Sancho. He's definitely the stronger of the two. But I wouldn't be buying any Man United midfielder right now. And that's just because we simply need to see consistency from them. And sure, their prices are cheap. 6.3 for Rashford. Years gone by, he was a 9-10 million asset and lived up to that. But at the moment, we've seen one goal against Liverpool. We need to see them beat weak opposition. We need to know it's not just a one-off. And also, guys, the transfer window is so big for Man United. There will be players coming in. And when they do, if they're a wide forward or a number 9, Rashford will be first to drop out that 11. We know Sancho's place will be safe. Martial's might be safe. Rashford's definitely not going to be safe. So for me, when you 100% swerve this week.
Even though he might be a striker, you think?
Even though he could play number 9 against the Saints,
that doesn't
rubbish.
Change okay, yeah,
and they play a high line that would suit Rashford.
Yeah,
but
that
no,
doesn't
I
change
still
your thinking,
wouldn't.
No. Yeah, it's a weird one. I mean, by the way, I've noticed I didn't put the lights on before we started, and the sun's gone in. It's getting darker and darker. As soon as we get to the next break, I'm turning the light on in here. But yeah, Rashford's a weird one, isn't it? Like, Ten Hag himself has actually said he prefers him off the left. He likes him just in that channel and being able to run in from there. He doesn't want him starting in the middle. He wants him to start wide and prefers him to come in. That's why it'll be really interesting in the Southampton game to see whether he's like, no, Ronaldo's not coming back in. I'm start with Rashford up front, or whether he's like, no, Rashford's got to be wide if we're going to get the best out of him. Yeah.
Guys, we need your help. And you really can help us here. We're a fairly new channel. You guys know we are. And Dean and I started doing this together, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago. And it's been brilliant seeing so many subscribers and supporters come on this journey with us. We would love to be recognised at the Football Content Awards. And we can do that by you guys voting for us. So if you click that link that we've put on screen, it's also in the chat if you just want to click it. And then you scroll down to Best in Fantasy Football. Just whack in creators or editorial. Don't think it matters too much. Chasing green arrows and then submit your vote. That would be awesome. We would love to be recognised. And if we get enough votes, then we'll be shortlisted. And if we're shortlisted, then we could win an award, which would be pretty damn cool for such a new channel.
It would be, yeah.
There we go. You were recognised last year, weren't you, for Ranks FC?
We were, yeah. We didn't win it though. That's annoying.
Yeah, you got. I think you got a
Well, we don't
certificate.
win.
You didn't
I
get the
think we got
trophy.
some sort of nod, but yeah, we didn't.
Maybe this
Never
year. Maybe
mind.
this year.
Maybe next time. Dean, you're starting to like Marlon Brando in the cave scene at the end of Apocalypse Now. You're right. Stephen Jones is actually my dad's name. So hello, Dad. I'm just going to put the light on 1 second because this is getting ridiculous.
Love that. We got all the big names in the chat tonight. We got Rachel. We got Dean's dad. The lights are on. Dean's getting ready for his curry. Love that. I think we're going to be listening, getting some questions in. Guys, 346 of you are watching. That's awesome. We know our Friday streams are popular. If you like what you're seeing, just hit that like button for us. Com says Chelsea and Arsenal rumours for Zaha suddenly gets an injury. Yeah, it is. It's a little bit sus, but at the same time, the rumours with the Zaha move have seemed to quiet down in recent weeks. It feels like he's a little bit happier at Palace, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I guess like maybe from his point of view, like he might just want to not pick up an injury in the next few days. And like, even if there's not like a firm offer on the table, is like, I'd rather not play this week. But I mean, to be honest, that's not, Dean, I'm not your father. Okay, cheers. But it would be very unprofessional of him if he was going to do that. And Zaha loves Palace, and I don't think he'd let him down like that.
Palace's best ever player, which is quite something, as said on the Eagles documentary on Amazon. If you haven't seen that, do check it out. It's better than, it might be on Netflix, it's better than all of the All or Nothings, in my opinion. Question from Ajib. And look, guys, we're in our time to talk section. Double Chelsea or City defence for the long run. The best defence in the league by a country mile is Man City. We know that from last season. Cancelo's a lock. The problem with the other Man City defenders is there isn't really an upside in any of them. So Kyle Walker, 6-point ceiling kind of thing. Yet when you look at Chelsea, there is upside in their defenders. Reece James is the lock. And then you could go, Cucurella or Chilwell or whoever. So I'd still edge towards Man City. There we go. Tony or Welbeck for you, Dean?
Tony.
It's an easy one, that, isn't it? Welbeck will be like Callum Wilson. He'll be injured after a few weeks.
Yeah, but you started the season nicely, Welbeck, no doubt about it. But I watched Tony, obviously, in the flesh last week, and he is a lively, lively player.
I don't want to take up too much time talking about Tony, but I'm going to have to ask you very quickly. Could he make the England squad? If that fourth striker role, we've seen Watkins called up. Bowen, we know, will probably be called up if he carries on playing well. Wilson's been called up recently. Tony is very different.
I personally don't think he's good enough for that. I think there's such a gulf. I think sometimes you bring in players to the England squad and then you realise that like there's too much of a difference. But like you're right. We've seen other players get that call up. So if he hits form, like now, he could end up in Qatar. Who knows? Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, I'd rather see him than Watkins or Wilson. I think James asked Isak, hop or drop. Definitely wait and see. I'm surprised he's coming at 7.0. I thought it'd be same as Wilson, 7.5.
Yeah. Don't get on him yet.
Dean, on Son and Diaz.
Son and Diaz to Salah and Rashford. Rodrigo. Son and Diaz to Salah and Rashford. Rodrigo Harrison free transfers. Is it worth it?
So Son and Diaz or Salah and one of the others?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, just to not have Son. I mean, the thing is with Son, like he's obviously not going to not get any points all season. Like he's going to start at some point, but it's a bit like the Saka dilemma I was in. Like you can't stick with him forever. And at some point, the only thing I'd say is just swapping him for Salah, who's not particularly in form either, but I'd still say he's more trustworthy.
Yeah. DM, Stones or Trips? Dunk or Saliba? I mean, Trippier over Stones just, but then Saliba and Dunk are the two best 4.5s, although Saliba's now 4.6. So yeah, I like those both a lot. Like even looking at Dean's wildcard, I'd be tempted to go Trippier down to a 4.5 just to get some money and then bring Trippier in when the fixtures turn. But there we go.
That's a fair point. Hold or sell Mount for Diaz, Foden, Rodrigo.
Mount plays Leicester.
Yeah, this is the thing. I think this is the 1 week when look, there's not many teams I'd fancy Chelsea to beat at the moment. Leicester are the one that I would fancy most teams to beat. Like they're in absolute disarray. James Maddison is the only one performing, and you just told me he's injured. So keep him.
Yeah. One more week.
Yeah, 1 more week.
I'm with you there. Should I still persist with keeping Neto? Oh, I think there's a chance his his place could be at risk now. Jimenez is back fit. We've seen the new signings come in and play well. I think I'd be tempted, if you haven't got any other fires, Nuclear, to sell Neto. If you can get to a Leeds midfielder, if you get to Rodrigo, do. I think I'd be worried about Neto, his minutes and the link with transfers, and just Wolves not being very good in attack.
Yeah, I mean, it's a proper link that is as well, isn't it? He's definitely being looked at there. So, yeah, be careful.
Oh, Dean, what do you reckon? Cucurella on Wildcard, that's a good question for you. Is he someone you consider at 5?
I actually haven't considered him at all. Should I be, do you think?
I don't think the ceiling's massively there. Like, we know from Brighton, he didn't get many goals or assists. He got 1 goal, a couple of assists. I just think if you go in Chelsea defence, you find the extra million. You just find the extra million for James.
Yeah, I think so too. Kane as captain. I think you can. I saw Sam from the other fantasy show, and she obviously is a Spurs fan and a big Harry Kane fan. And I know that she hasn't got Kane in, and I saw that in the clip that I saw, she was contemplating a wild card to get Kane in, which is that was the exact moment I was going through my own dilemma, actually. So I was like, if she's going through this too, then it's fine that I'm going through this moment. And she was saying she wants to not only wild card to get Kane in, but to get him in as captain. Go for it. It's Nottingham Forest. Like, sometimes you can overthink it. It's Harry Kane, the England striker and captain, against Nottingham Forest, who are in the Premier League for like the first time in however many years it is, a long, long time. Like, it makes sense.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Maya asks about Luis Diaz, and this is on paper, there isn't a better fixture than when Bournemouth come to your ground. Yeah. But something's not right at Liverpool at the moment. It will change. Now, Salah, I can back Salah when he's playing poorly to still get points. I can back Salah when Liverpool are playing poorly to still get points. We saw it at Old Trafford. Luis Diaz, I'm not so sure. I know he scored a really good goal in game week 2. But no, I wouldn't be captaining Luis Diaz.
No, don't think so. Good player to have, though. KDB and Cancelo, or KDB and Gundogan. Cancelo hasn't really returned. I didn't realise. I actually hadn't had Cancelo for a lot of last season. I didn't realise everyone called him Cancielo or whatever it is. He always gets them. It's very annoying. Hasn't had quite the influence so far. But I think if you can get Cancelo ahead of Gundogan, I personally would probably do that.
Yeah, he's definitely the long-term hold as well. Like, I'm considering Reece James or Gundogan. I think Cancelo or Gundogan is an even closer call, but I would go Cancelo there. He's one of the, I don't like the term must-haves, but at the start of the season, he was one of my 3 must-haves. It was Cancelo, Trent, and Salah, and you build everyone else around that. And I don't think I've seen a huge amount to change that. He's taking up some more inside midfield positions. He's not as high or as wide, but he'll still get assists.
Yeah, 100%.
Little Chungus, what are your top 3 priority defenders? Okay, good question. I still think it's Trent and Cancelo. I'm going to go Perisic, number 3.
Oh, yeah.
Reece
Do you
James,
still think Trent?
5.
Do you still think Trent?
Yeah, I really do. Like, it's Trent. He will still eat up the bonus. He'll still get lots of assists. And they will start keeping clean sheets when the fixtures turn.
They will. He's just been so poor, and at 7.5 for a defender. Like, that's why he's not in my team at the moment. And that was another thing eating away at me. Like, I know I should have him, but he's just not playing that well at all.
I would say you can afford not to own Trent for the moment, though. I don't look at your wild card and go, that's super risky going without because of the form he's in. Okay. But long term, I know he's someone I would always want in my team. But there's no reason why I can't get him in a few weeks. But you need to see a change. I get that.
Yeah.
He's enabling you to do so much more. Yeah, like Cancelo over Trent all day long.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's what I've got on my one at the moment. So that was one of my big things. And do you think Perisic is a better pick at the moment than Trent, even though Perisic is like a slight question mark over him?
Yeah, for points next week, I think Perisic is flying.
Yeah.
Okay. You got to go there. There's so few defenders that can get double digits at the moment in terms of form for their team and personal form, and Perisic is the guy.
Yeah.
Oh, Rodrigo's getting a lot of love, and I get it, Khalid. KDB and Rodrigo in, Son Bailey out. I like both those moves. Rodrigo's gone up in price 0.2 this week. He has seemed to become the main man. He's on penalties. I think he's even had the armband. So it's a tough fixture to go to Brighton. Let's see how he does there, but I like those moves.
Yeah, I fancy Leeds against most teams, but not Brighton, actually. I've back in Brighton to win that game this weekend.
Yeah, me too,
Tough one, that.
actually. And that's why I've not gone. Because again, I looked at Rodrigo instead of Gundogan, but I just don't fancy him this week. But long term, I think
Don't
he'd be good.
know.
Mount to Gundogan for a -4. Ooh, I don't know if I'd want to sell Mount on a 4 against the Leicester. They are conceding more chances, I think, than any other team in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
I don't know
absolutely.
about
Yeah. Rashford or Kulusevski for Game Week 4. It's the first time we mentioned Kulusevski in this chat, actually.
that.
Kulusevski. Yeah, for that one. Yeah, I mean, look, Rashford might play as the 9, like playing against Southampton. Like, feel free to take a punt on that. I mean, not many people will. Could prove to be a differential, but Kulusevski against Forest could be one too.
Guys, we might be going into record number territory here for Chasing Green Arrows. Little Chasing Green Arrows. We didn't think we'd be at the point where we got over 400 people watching live.
We started with 4.
we did a good hour with 4.
We did. We did an hour show with 4 people watching.
Shout out to Luke and FPL River who've been here from the start. We don't forget you guys. But look, thank you guys for joining us. So look, you can show your appreciation to the channel by hitting that thumbs up button, by subscribing. If you want to know very quickly what we do streams on a Monday and a Friday, an hour long. We involve you guys so much. 7 p.m. start time. We answer your questions lots. And we really see this as part of the Chasing Green Arrows family. So come and join us on that journey. We do team reveals, we do advice, we do transfer chat. Dean's a football insider, so we get his take on starting 11s. Loads of insight. There's myself.
Yeah, very good one, mate. Yeah, and I'm not always on days off on Fridays, whereas I can't tell you anything about the team lineups because I've been out all day. This is not a normal. It's a bank holiday weekend, and I thought I'd better see my kids before they go off to school.
No, you've had a distraction on your wild card as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it played into me pressing a panic button. So there we go. Dominic, Dean is not that good in FPL. Just saying. Well, that's not actually why I'm here, is it? I'm not here as the expert. I'm here because I know about other elements of it, and I've just played this game like you lot for so long. So I'm just here for the ride. And at the moment, I'm not done too bad. I'm not that far off Gianni, but we're only 3 weeks in, so I can't get too excited yet. I need to stay at least on his tail for half a season. I'll be happy with how things have gone. It's progress.
You're man of the people, mate. There will be a lot of FPL managers out there that played a little bit more casually last season, and they've gone, this season I want to take it seriously. I'm going to watch Chasing Green Arrows. I'm going to improve my game. And I feel like that's the journey you're on, and loads of our viewers will be on a similar journey where they're taking it a bit more seriously, spending a bit more time on it. And I think you'll have a really good finish. I think your wildcard's in good shape when you maybe go down to a 4.0 defender and increase those keepers. Yeah. And the freemium could be a massive differential in itself. To be able to captain Kane or a Spurs player and still have Haaland and Salah as an option is going to be huge for you.
Yeah, we'll see. Come on, people, have some faith in me. Crixie says, I'm his FPL hero. Thank you, mate. I'm going to enjoy this curry tonight, enjoy the fact I'm not paying for it, and make sure that I'm nowhere near paying for it next season. Because the winner actually gets, I think the winner of our league gets like 400 quid or something. Yeah.
You're not paying for curry. That's all that matters.
I'm not paying for curry. Yeah, let's get up that end. We're actually getting money too.
Guys in the chat, thank you so much for all your comments tonight. I'm sorry we've not been able to answer all of them. If you've got a burning question, whack it in the comments, not the chat, the comments, because the chat just like vanishes. But the comments, and we'll go through and answer as many as we can tonight. So Get your comments in. And before you go, hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Guys, good luck this weekend. If you're captaining Salah, good luck. If you're captaining Jesus, very good luck to you as well. I think both are good options. We'll be back Monday at 7. Dean, thank you for your time tonight. We're going to let you get off for your curry.
Thank you.
And guys, thank you so much for your support as always. He's been Dean, I've been Gianni, and we've been Chasing Green Arrows.